You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Hell's Kitchen After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Hell's Kitchen After Show.
Fire.
Welcome to the #1 Hell's Kitchen After Show. This is where we get together. Thank you. Get ready for surprises. Chefs and Lem Gonsalves.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
You know, my heart's coming down.
Yes.
My heart's coming down.
It's coming down.
But you know what makes it go back up?
What's that?
The love on iTunes.
So much love.
I gotta say, we're so grateful that you, the Hell's Kitchen fan, are here. I'm Leo Quinones, and I'm stoked that we get to come in here, watch Hell's Kitchen, and then talk about it with you, with the chefs. And we have this commitment, don't we, Lem?
Yes, we do. Extra committed.
So much so.
So much.
And just, if you can leave us a review, it's free. We appreciate it. And then, okay, let's get into this. This is Hell's Kitchen, Season 12. 15 chefs compete, and it was a hot one. It got really hot in the kitchen tonight, Lem.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
I don't know what it is, but when, you know, the red team pits against the blue team, I don't know who to root for. Do you? Do you have a set one in your mind when every episode starts of who you're rooting for?
I kind of, well, as a whole, and this is just not Hell's Kitchen, but just in life, I'm typically always rooting for the underdog. So I think if the show is progressing and let's say one team is winning over and over again, then I tend to root for the person that, you know, I want to see win now. So, I mean, in the case of your question, I think it just depends on, you know, if someone's on a hot streak. And with this season, there hasn't really been a hot streak. You know, like I think the first one, no one even won for the first few challenges. So, and then we see the red team kind of, you know, win a couple and then the blue team won. So it's like, it's kind of going back and fast. So right now, I'm just rooting for the people that I feel like I want to stay on the show. Like I'm rooting for my favorite chefs.
I'm the exact same way. You took the words right out of my mouth, Lem.
I did.
I individual achievement. You know, I like to see who not only can cook, but who can cook and coexist. A big difference,
yes,
you know. So again, a lot of surprises. I know Gordon knocked you for a loop today in Hell's Kitchen. So a different format for this episode. Usually there's a challenge, or usually there's a chainsaw waking you up in the morning. Actually, none of that today. Straight to Gordon's take on a lack of leadership in both kitchens. So we had to do something drastic. So there he said, deliberate, get up there, or as he says, piss off. Go up there and pick out who is going to be the captain. What about those deliberations in the red dorm and the blue dorm?
I mean, it's always heated. I think, and no exception, of course, you're picking a captain. The captain is supposed to be the one that should have the best leadership skills, probably one of the better chefs, of course. So you know it's going to be a heated argument, and I think they started deliberating, and then people were throwing their names in the ring and the hat, trying to figure out, you know, which one. I was kind of on the red team. I was happy with that decision. I was not happy with the decision on the blue team. With Anton being picked, just because I don't think that he really, I think he has a lot of talk, and his voice is just, you know, he has that raspy voice, and you can tell when he's talking because it's very distinct.
Well, Jason, with the blistering bear voice, I thought it was like between him and Chef Anton, and I was like, okay, let's see what they got here. So ultimately, the blue team decided to go with Anton Testino. So that's their luck. Well, let's talk about the red team.
So that person, you had, you know, people throwing it in. I think in this case, Melanie is the one that, you know, ended up getting it. A couple of people put in themselves. I was really trying to see if I thought Sandra might have been the one that may have pulled it out just because of her strong personality.
Right.
She has a super strong personality. She doesn't get along with a lot of the people, the women on the red team. And I think that's why she would have been one that would have been picked, because they just don't like her.
I'm asking why, oh why, with so many unproven cooks in the kitchen, would anybody want to assert themselves into the position of being a team leader? Because that is like a landmine of hurt.
It's like suicide.
Thank you.
It's like suicide.
So, you know, if it were you, Lem, and you were on the blue team,
yes,
would you be a little bit like waiting in the wings?
Yes, I would.
I think that's a play there. You know, I mean, why push yourself? Like, you know, hey, you know what? We love Chef Gabriel. He was on the show,
right?
And we'd have to do a disclaimer. If you've done the Hell's Kitchen AfterBuzz, if you've been on our show, we do play a little bit of favorites, but we're going to try and not play favorites. So I was like, why would you jump up there and do it?
Right.
You know, why wouldn't you let, you know, Chef Gabriel go up there and go ahead and lead?
And then kind of trump him, you know, keep himself out. I think what it is
there might be a sniper.
Right.
You go first.
I think a lot of it is Leo. I think it's ego. You know, you want to stand out in all the right directions. You want to prove yourself to be a leader, because in normal situations outside of the Hell's Kitchen world, I think we have this situation where if you were working in a kitchen or working, you know, at a place, you would want to be the one to step up and lead, to show that you can be in charge
in whatever is going on. As far as, you know, pulling the weight of the people who can't pull their weight.
Exactly.
Okay.
But this is Hell's Kitchen, and so people are getting eliminated. So the thing is with Hell's Kitchen, I think the people that end up existing and do well are the people that kind of keep their nose down, don't stay out of the drama, because then they alleviate, you know, the eyes of Chef Ramsay going to basically target them to go home.
Who actually wants to say, hey, what's the view like in this guillotine? What's it like?
Exactly.
I wouldn't put my neck out.
Not at all.
So,
not at all.
Okay, so let's talk about the red team and who so Melanie kind of, I think that she wanted it more than anybody.
I think, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I think she wanted it more. I think she also wanted to assert herself in a leadership type position, because you know, she's done well. I mean, I can't knock her for how she's done. You know, she was on the show. She's a great person. I think she's done well, and I think she just kind of wanted to assert herself in that position.
Well, I gotta say, we have two captains.
Yes,
Melanie and Chef Anton Testino, and then we kind of get shuffled into, you know, well, I think we're going to have Chef Anton call in pretty soon, which is pretty good, because I want to pick the guy's brain. I know you want to pick the guy's brain.
I definitely want to pick his brain.
So he's hanging back in Butler, New Jersey right now.
Okay.
So producer Steve or Gordon, whoever you are back there, you know,
we're going to get today.
We'll get Chef Anton Testino on the phone and kind of, you know, Lem, you and I try not to be intimidated by his voice.
I'm going to try my best.
Can you impersonate Chef Anton?
I wouldn't do it because he's on the line right now.
Oh.
You gonna try to impersonate this voice?
I can try. I can do my best. It's very distinct, my man. I love that you're on the Hell's Kitchen after show. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Say hi to Lem Gonsalves.
How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good today.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us.
So 18 months ago, you were doing this Hell's Kitchen Season 12. What stands out in your mind about that, Anton?
What do you mean? Because it was so long?
No, just the memories that float to the top when you think of your experience in Hell's Kitchen.
Overall, I mean, it was just an amazing experience, actually, overall. I mean, just the fact that I got on there, I felt like I was supposed to be there. It was unbelievable to actually, you know, cook under Ramsay and get the experience and see his style and just like how he moves his pans or how he flips his scallops. like all the little techniques that he has that you just can't learn.
That's awesome.
You have to actually see it with your eyes.
Right. I got a question for you, Anton. This is Lem. We just watched the season, this episode, 15 Chefs Compete. And in this particular episode, we were actually just talking about, this episode where you were team captain, and you ended up stepping up in that role. And you decided, instead of doing one station, you decided to be a rover in the kitchen. What was your thought process when you were kind of working that out? Because it did work, actually.
Actually, the concept of me being a floater, it's usually, I just felt confident about being a floater because you got to be a strong chef. You have to be able to do every station. And the guys, we've been having problems since day one, and we've been struggling since day one. So I felt confident enough to where I know I can do every station. So if there was a problem, an issue, I knew that I would be able to jump in, take over, and help my team get this win.
Well, before you guys got into the kitchen, Anton, was there some red team, blue team trash talk?
Yeah, there was some trash talk. Actually, though, one thing I was a little upset they edited it out of tonight's episode.
Give it to us.
Actually, Ramsey sat there and said the idea of me being a floater was actually genius.
Oh,
all right.
Interesting.
We love that insight. That's what we crave here on the Hell's Kitchen After Show.
He literally said it to me. He's like, that's actually a genius move to how to do this kitchen. That's pretty much what Ramsey and Chef James are doing.
Well, he says your leadership starts right now. So this is a kitchen question. The show revolves around cooking. What were you like when during the day, try not to get on the guys' nerves while they were prepping? Because you're in charge of that as well before service.
I mean, pretty much I was letting them prep and set up their stations their way, and they're just pretty much going through them and making sure that they had everything they needed so that everything would run properly and smooth. And it was kind of at the point where I didn't really care if they were going to get mad at me. And that's just how you have to be. You know, if they're going to get mad, let them get mad. They want to talk trash, let them talk trash. It's like going in there and playing the big game.
Were you and Jason doing a little bit of a head game because he was up for team captain this episode as well?
Yeah, I mean, he was up for it. You know, the guys asked me if I wanted to do it. I told them I would, so I pretty much just left it up to them, whoever they felt was confident. Because I was really a little skeptical about being their captain, because it was pretty much either they were doing that and wanted me to be their captain to get rid of me, or they really believed that I was going to be able to bring them to a victory.
Lem and I were just discussing that. Why, oh, why would you stick your head in the guillotine, Anton? You know?
'Cause I'm the kind of person, it's like, you either believe in me, and I'm going to show you what I got, and I'm going to give you it all.
And he's got that badass bandana with the circle on it. You know, it's very intimidating.
Right.
Well, listen.
Actually, that bandana is a traditional trademark of mine.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen.
I don't just wear it on Hell's Kitchen. I've been wearing it for 22 years in the kitchen.
22 years experience. Okay, that's the prep. Now we're going to get into this episode's dinner service. So, Jean-Philippe, open up Hell's Kitchen. Let's go. Right? So let's talk about the dinner service itself. Again, it was 18 months ago for you. What do you recall of that 5th dinner service?
Actually, I just got done watching it because I pretty much just got out of work and I had to rush home to make sure I got here in time for your phone call. So I wanted to refresh my memory. So I pretty much remember it really well right now.
Well, let's start with your VIP, Holly Marie Combs from Pretty Little Liars, which is an incredible after show here at AfterBuzz. If you've never seen it, talk about you presenting Fabio and Holly Marie. I stole Lem's line. And I was cheap. I feel cheap. I feel dirty. I feel dirty, Anton. What was it like giving them food that hadn't gone through the hot plate for Gordon Ramsay's approval? What were you thinking?
Actually, to be honest with you, I mean, think about this realistically here. I obviously thought that was already checked by Gordon Ramsay because I'm not plating the food. They plated the food.
Okay.
So the fact that they plated it and had it set, I already just said to myself, all right, they didn't turn it down. It wasn't denied. It was approved. Let's take it. Let's keep this thing going.
You know,
so that's why I grabbed it and we went for it.
That's remarkable.
It is remarkable.
Lem and I are dumbfounded right now because the way it's played out is, didn't you think to yourself, that's not the way it played out when I was there?
Yeah, when I was there, when I just saw it, I was like looking at it, and I'm like, I hope people realize I'm not plating. Chef James and Chef Ramsay are plating. If it's plated, it must be ready to go.
And why in this episode, Anton, was Ralph pissing vinegar so much?
I'm sorry?
Ralph was kind of had an attitude, had a little chip on this dinner service. Was he mad about not being the captain as well, as far as you know?
Not as far as I know. I just think him and Gabriel were just kind of like butting heads and kind of clashing a little bit. They just weren't working together very well for some reason.
All right, well...
And I think he just had something to prove because of last time he was on apps, he obviously didn't have a good night.
Anton, there was a period of time where it seemed like you were getting a little bit anxious with how you were conducting the kitchen, and you were ready to go. You were fired up. Your head was in the game, and Gordon kind of gave you that nod, like kind of chill out a little bit. Do you think you were overexerting yourself? You think you were doing too much, or do you think that you were doing what you felt like you were called to do in that service?
Well, when he brought me up there and I'm standing by his side and we're getting ready and he's calling out the first order. It was that massive adrenaline rush.
Okay.
Just shooting through my body like crazy, like I want to go, go, go.
Right.
And it just made me just a little over anxious, and it was good that he said something to me. This way it kind of got my head a little clear and brought me right back down, got my adrenaline back down so I could stay focused.
Now, in your current position as a chef, is that similar to your duties, like as far as what you do outside of the TV show?
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, I've been a chef for 22 years, and I run my own kitchen. So I'm the one, I actually play Gordon's role to a sense. In my own kitchen, and I've been doing it for years.
What do you do?
So I'm the one calling out the orders. I'm the one giving everybody their own food, like every station, salad station, meats, pasta. I do all that. So it just felt very natural for me to be in that position at that moment.
Awesome.
So when you're talking over Gordon Ramsay repeatedly, did they stack all those in a mad rush edit, or were you constantly talking over Chef?
I did talk over him a little bit,
a little bit,
just a teensy weensy bit, just a teensy weensy.
For me, it's more of I had to adjust because I'm not the guy in charge, and I'm so used to being the guy in charge. So it's like an automatic reaction for me to just keep talking and doing what's got to be done. And I had to, I had to be put in my place, and he put me in my place, made sure that I understood. It's his kitchen, his show. I have to do it his way. And that's just something that, you got to adjust to.
All right. Well, listen, let's talk about the blue team and execution. Take us around the kitchen. Maybe start off with apps. And how did you help as a floater? I mean, where was your fingerprint on this dinner service?
All right. See, this is what it all comes down to. I chose to be a floater because I've been kind of quiet throughout this entire thing right now until today. And the reason I've been quiet is because I've been observing everybody, their strengths, their weaknesses, and what everybody can peek at and what they can't peek at. And that's the job of a leader.
So you were
see who your team is and what they got to put on the table.
So do you think you were playing the game a little bit as far as like trying to kind of stay in the middle and kind of see where everybody was so you can kind of fill those holes?
A little bit. Like when I started off in apps tonight, the reason I started off in apps is because I know how to handle and nail that risotto perfect. I've done it. I did it in a couple services beforehand, and I knew the tricks of the trade. And the one thing that the girls were telling us all the time, and they were getting annoyed, is how am I banging out risotto in under 6 minutes when it's supposed to be 7 minutes? And that shit comes with experience, years. Knowing your hottest part of your pans to get everything heated up as fast as you can to get your fastest cooking process.
And it's live. You can't really leave a risotto, can you?
No, you can't leave it. It's got to constantly be stirred, and you just have to know where to put the liquids in. Put that stock in. Put the white wine in. A lot of people like to put stuff right in the middle of a pan, and that's their biggest mistake.
Oh, okay.
Most people don't realize the hottest part of a pan is the edge of a pan. That's the thinnest piece of metal, and that's the hottest. You add a liquid to that in a circular motion, what happens is it automatically sizzles and gets hot instantly. And it speeds up your cooking time tremendously.
I love this show. I love this after show. I love learning from the greats. Hey, okay, to your immediate...
You want to learn more? I got a book coming out in a couple months.
Well, we'll talk about that for sure. To your left, Chris couldn't get it together with the scallops. What is it like to see a hand-dive scallop go to waste, Chef?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Chris, to your left, couldn't get scallops right, especially going up to the VIP table. So what's it like when you see those beautiful... those amazing hand-dive scallops going to waste?
When I saw it the first time, it was just like, oh my God, those things are like so much money per pound. It's ridiculous. So that's just money in the garbage. And I just spent 12 hours rolling pennies because of this.
Right.
And there's no way I'm going back to the penny rolling.
No more penny rolling.
Oh no, no way. That was brutal. My fingers were crimping up after 12 hours.
Was it really 12 hours?
It was $250,000 in pennies.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. It took us literally 12 hours. We did that early in the morning until about, I don't even know what time it was, probably like 5 o'clock at night.
Wow.
I think we told Ralph, I mean, at some point, don't you just put in 47 and call it a day on a roll?
I wish.
Well, listen, what was your greatest reward in Hell's Kitchen up to this episode? Because those rewards are pretty much a life-changing event. So, you know, from Jersey to some of these great places, where have you been?
San Francisco was obviously amazing. It was beautiful. It reminded me of Europe, actually, eating on the river and seeing those beautiful mountains and everything. It was unbelievable. The best reward was definitely, obviously, San Francisco, the only award we had.
Right.
And the point that I loved most about it was the fact that I got to actually hang out with Gordon for a little bit and get to actually know him on a personal level. And ask him some personal questions about his career and who he is and why he wants this empire to be bigger than it already is.
Wow.
So it got me to know a little bit more about him because, I mean, ultimately I'm in a culinary competition.
Right.
But if in reality, it's a job interview.
Oh, interesting way to look at it.
So if it's a job interview, as much as I want this job, I want to know the guy I'm going to be working for. Do I want to work for that person?
Right. That makes a lot of sense, and that I think that attributes to your experience in the kitchen doing this for over 20 years, like you mentioned. You know, kind of knowing that maybe over the younger chefs. When you were with the chefs in the blue team, obviously, you know, when you're cooking together, you know, there's some things that happen drama because I know it's heavy in there. It's a lot going on. When you were outside, like in the dorms, when the cameras weren't really rolling all the time, did you guys ever get along, or were there always moments where because of the nature of what you're doing, like you mentioned, being in a competition, where you kind of always at odds and kind of always on edge at times?
Well, I mean, to put it as simply as I possibly can for you, I mean, I'm not sure about how it all is out there, out west on the West Coast for chefs, but I know what East Coast chefs are like. And I'm there with a decent amount of East Coast, Chicago, Jersey, New York. And one thing, the rule of thumb in a professional kitchen is, it's going to get heated. You guys are going to yell at each other. You're going to say some nasty stuff. You're going to piss each other off. It gets ugly. But the number one rule is once you leave that kitchen, it stays in that kitchen, and it's not there the next day.
I see.
You never let it become personal. Because if you do, then you're going to have problems.
Well, you know that ethic, but maybe there's half your teammates who take everything so personally. What's that dynamic like?
I mean, some of them do take it personally, and when they do, it's just you gotta speak your mind and put them in their place. I mean, especially with some of the younger guys. You know, they get upset. Oh, you yell too much, or you're too demanding, you know, or you move too fast. Like I've heard all the comments from like Jason, Chris, and everybody like that, and I never take it personally. I mean, in fact, I actually compliment all these guys throughout this. And I see their thing. So me showing them that I don't take it personally, that's my way of teaching them you're not supposed to. If you want to be in this business, don't do it.
I see.
Because if you do, you're not going to last very long.
That makes a lot of sense, Anton. And just looking at what you're mentioning about the experience that you have, and it looks like that it helped you up to this point in Hell's Kitchen. Is this profession that you're in, that you've been in for such a long time, have you always wanted to do this, or was this something you kind of fell into? I don't know, did you do archery before? I don't know. I mean, just that voice. I mean, I just seemed like. You said what?
I had my first compound bow when I was 10 years old.
You did? Oh, okay. See, I knew there was that voice. It just felt like it needs to be doing something like manly, like, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was literally born to be a chef.
Okay.
You know, my family, they're from Europe. My mother, she came to this country back in '62. Mm-hmm. My father's parents, they came over here, I believe it was like in the 40s. And food has been my entire life. We've had 15, 16 different restaurants throughout our family, all over Jersey, all the way down to Texas. Like I have cousins who own restaurants out in Amarillo. I have them out in Dallas, all over New Jersey, northern, southern, everywhere. So I was born to be a chef. My father took me and had me hunting with him when I was like 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
Teaching me how to clean fish. And that's where it all started, where it began. So this is something I've been doing my entire life.
When you talk about this wide array of restaurants, what is the one mantra that you have that is part of every single restaurant that you become a part of, Anton?
I'm not sure I understand exactly what you mean.
your mission statement when you, as a restaurateur, open a restaurant, what are you guaranteeing is going to happen with each restaurant?
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, my style is different from everybody else in my family. I've taken small little restaurants and I've brought them to different levels.
Okay.
I mean, my family's got a lot of restaurants, but I don't personally have one. And that's my ultimate goal and dream, to have my own restaurant. And I've actually taken family pizzerias where, you got your basic pizzeria menu, and I brought it to a different level. So now I have customers that are coming in, and they're spending $30 a dinner. They're spending $25 versus, a regular basic pizza place where you're spending $10, $15. And I'm putting out, like, the scallops that we use over on Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
I use those scallops.
Oh,
wow.
I use halibut. I cook with, and I do that in a pizzeria because I think some of the greatest things in food come from the smallest little unknown places.
Hell yes. And
the hole in the walls are usually the best.
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Because the people in that kitchen, they're not cooking. That's not their job. It's their passion.
Right.
Love it.
And that's what I was taught.
Well, when are you going to be in L.A.?
We're hungry. I have no idea. I would like to come back out to L.A. L.A. was beautiful. I mean, why people will go to Florida to retire, I have no idea with the humidity. California, the weather's gorgeous.
Yes, it is.
Let me ask you, everyone watching the Hell's Kitchen after show would like to know the sensation and what it's like to get your ass ripped out by Gordon Ramsay. You've been there. Describe it.
I love it.
Says the guy.
Absolutely love it.
Those cleaning
if he
fish
would
at
have came
6.
to me nice and was kind of like, well, no, you shouldn't do it that way. You should do it this way. Try it like this. Try it like... No. I need him on my ass, ripping me apart, and that's what I love. So him being that way, his personality is absolutely perfect for me.
Cool.
It's what I've dealt with my entire career. Everybody looks at Gordon Ramsay and they all say the guy's crazy, he's nuts, he's ruthless, you want to kill him. And I look at people, I'm like, have you ever been in a commercial kitchen? Because there is no difference between Gordon Ramsay and every European chef I've ever worked with. I've worked in kitchens where chefs have thrown knives at people.
Oh, wow.
They've taken hot pans and, you see the dishwashers, and they're throwing hot pans at them. They're not handing them. Literally throwing it at them.
Sounds like abuse.
Let's do a social experiment here. I'm sous chef Leo. I'm in Chef Anton's kitchen, and I just burnt the hell out of a $35 ribeye steak. Now I want you to rip me a new one, okay? Hey, chef, here's your ribeye.
All right, give me a second, because that's kind of funny.
Okay, here we go. Okay, Chef, just like you wanted it, medium rare. Here you go.
I look at does that look medium rare? Touch it. Feel it. No. I want you to feel it again. See it with your fingers. Is it moist? How firm is it? Is it the way I taught you to be? No, it's not. So why the hell are you giving me this garbage? Put it back, give me a new one, and do it now.
Okay. Sorry, Chef.
That was good. That was good.
How do we find you on Twitter, buddy? Wait, Chef Anton on Twitter, is that right?
Yeah, I'm Chef Anton T on Twitter.
Okay, Chef Anton T. Where else can we find you?
Facebook, I am Chef Anton Testino.
Chef Anton Testino.
That's my full name.
You're a class act. Will you come back on the Hell's Kitchen after show, brother?
Absolutely, I would love to.
You're a classy competitor, and I would not backtalk to you. I'll just tell you that right now.
But not.
Best of luck on 15 chefs. Now it's going to be 4. You're one of the final 14, brother.
Yes.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. I'm in the final 14.
Yes.
I got 14 more to go.
All right. New Jersey's counting on you, brother. All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Oh, not a problem. Thank you.
What a stud. Chef Anton Testino. Chef Anton T on Twitter.
Yes.
That's why this show's amazing.
It's amazing.
You know, we're cherry picking information. Didn't he just ripped me a new one? Live.
He did. He live, and it was great. Like I could see your face, and you felt like I really burnt this steak, and I need to go search my life.
We haven't even gone to dinner service, and you're burning steaks.
Yes,
it's so good.
Yes,
it's so good.
It is.
You can expect these surprises all season long.
Yes.
We are going deep in guests from past seasons to any kind of thing. So we should have just told Anton congratulations. That was the first blue team dinner service victory.
Right.
So he's still listening right now in New Jersey. So thank you, Chef Anton. So good for the men. So then we had the dorm deliberations. Not really in the men's, but we had a red team deliberation, Lem. So let's talk about what they were talking about upstairs. I mean, it got a little heated. Sandra's yelling. Could you imagine the poor bastard who says "I do" to her? I mean, I just can't even imagine. I mean, even when she's at her most pleasant,
right? She's still,
it's like nails on a chalkboard.
And it's funny because Chef Anton was just talking about how how it is on the East Coast and how things are. It's just a little bit gully. You know what I'm saying? And it's just more hardcore.
I'm from New York.
Yeah, and so
I left when I was 4, though. I had to get out. I was done.
You're done. You're like, I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I gotta go to California. I'm out of here. I'm not. I can see you like going, and then Chef Anton 6, and he's like, man, come with me hunting. I'm gonna go clean some fish.
That guy's voice too deep for a kid. I'm getting out of here.
I bet you his voice was like that at 6 years old. I guarantee
they dropped early, didn't they?
Right, exactly. But no, I mean, she's from the East Coast as well, and I think it's just part of that. Part of it, and I think part of it is just her. She just. I think she's one of those type of individuals that just kind of has that ongoing chip on her shoulder, and basically, I'm a get at you before you get at me, and that's kind of how she works.
How do you think she performed in the kitchen on this episode?
I mean, I think she just wasn't communicative. You had Joy that was kind of trying to get out of her, and she wasn't, answering back, and she was kind of in her own space. And, whenever the camera would show her, she was cooking, but she just wasn't communicating. Yes. And I think that's the problem with her.
Absolutely. And within that red team deliberation, they were going to take down their leader.
Yeah.
Melanie,
right?
She was right next to you last week, and she stepped up and she did it. And when it came to who do you nominate and why, I thought Melanie was going to go right up.
Well, I thought so too, and I could see why, and it just goes to show what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. You step up, you have a target on your back. So there's only going to be one, team that wins. So if you lose, then it's going to be easy pickings for you to be like, okay, well, you're our leader. We lost because of you. You need to go home.
Yeah, because when the service started, 25 minutes, red team, no apps.
Right.
And then Beth and the late lobster, the lazy lobster, the lost lobster, she was never really in that service.
Beth was like that lobster. She was
overcooked.
She was just,
rubbery.
She was. I mean, from day. I mean, you know, the scene when she's, you know, talking about, and I felt bad for her when she was talking about her finances and how, you know, her house.
Yes.
You know, she felt like she was going to be evicted.
Right, and Melanie too, talking about her mom and wanting to help her mom.
Exactly.
And then, you know, what did Beth say? She goes, "I don't get a job because I don't have a payness."
Right.
P-A-Y. I don't have a payness.
Right. I think she just. I mean, it's a lot for her.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not going to say like her age is a factor because, you know, you got old boy on the blue team who's, you know,
Rich.
Rich. He's holding it down.
He's 48.
Yeah, he's 48. He's holding it down. So I think it's more. I think there's a lot of.
Wait. I think I got a gray hair in my lobster. No, I'm just kidding.
But no, I think that there's just so much going home, and I think she just can't take the mental strain. And I think that's why it's showing in her performance, it's showing in her attitude, and you saw the whole, you know, episode kind of just focus on how bad she was doing.
Well, let's take it to the meat hook elimination round, shall we? I mean, let's do it. They come walking out.
Yeah.
You know, the blue team is safe. Not feeling a thing, any danger, any peril.
Yes.
Then we have the red team up there. And I love when they're up there in front of, you know, the god of cooking, Gordon Ramsay, and they start inner fighting in the meat hook ceremony.
Right.
It's just super catty.
Of course.
Isn't that the best?
Of course. I mean, everybody's out for themselves. I mean, yes, they're in a team, but at the end of the day, he's trying to find a one chef. So when you're up there and, I mean, it's do or die. You have to fight for your life. Your life is on the line. Your cooking life, your chef life is on the line, and you have to defend yourself. Whether you were in the wrong, whether you deserve to go home,
right.
At the end of the day, you have to fight for what you believe in. And if you really want to stay, you have to fight for that.
15 minutes before the elimination ceremony, Gordon, I have to bring it up. I have to put it into the after show.
Please do.
Annals of history. Gordon's quote, "Why is she so stupid?" about Sandra. I'm just saying, great quote. Okay, let's get back into the meat hook elimination round. So, of course, first nominee and why? Beth. Because for what we just said, she was, she has no compass in the kitchen, or no, I don't want to say drive. I think that would be mean to say she doesn't have drive. I don't think she has the wherewithal.
No, I agree. She doesn't have the wherewithal. She's just like you said, the compass. She just feels a little lost. Like there was that scene where, you know, Melanie took over for her and actually cooked the lobster
perfectly,
brought it up,
and Gordon made a point,
and all of a sudden said, "Oh, great job!" And then here she is like, "Oh, I need to get the lobster on,"
and she came up with like a lollipop.
Yeah,
came up with a lobster that was overcooked, and it already went out. He's like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
You know, but when you think back to that meat hook elimination ceremony, what I remember most is Beth really not just trying to hold it together, and then the camera just came with a dramatic close-up right to her. You give me one more chance, chef, and I'm going to be loud. You know, I'm going to get my voice going. And I just think that was a nice moment for her. But let's talk about the other nominee, Sandra.
Good old Sandra.
You know,
East Coast.
You know, why do you think you should stay in Hell's Kitchen? She said, "I'm a consistent performer. I 100% back my team up, and the team don't want to see me win."
See me win. Yes.
And then that's when.
Yeah. I mean, she, like I said, she has that chip on her shoulder. She just kind of walks around with that. She knows that they don't like her. She probably thinks that she should have been in the lead in the first place. I mean, and that's just kind of been her MO since day one. She was one of the first people that got into fights, you know, when they first started. So I think she just is always going to be that way. And it's like her and the team. That's how she feels. It's her and the team. And so I didn't think she was going to go home, but at the same time, I know why they voted her, because they don't, she's a cancer. And when he asked, everybody but one.
Chef Jersey Jess said, no, it should be Beth. Okay, so lopped her head off. Beth is out the door.
Done.
Okay, you know, absolutely done. But, you know, I just think that it was coming, and Lem, he looked at me, and when Gordon Ramsay said, "Sandra, back in line," Lem 100% called it. Why?
Well, again, just like I said before, I think she was put up not because
that was
of her.
Lem, but you were in Gordon Ramsay's head for that one.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking he's thinking the same thing. You know, he knows that they all voted for her because they don't like her.
Yeah.
So he's going to put her back in basically because she's a good cook. But more of all, I think he's looking at she has to learn how to make amends with her team. She has to learn how to work with her team in order for this is going to work out. If she's going to get this top position, you have to work with people. You're a head chef.
Well
you
said.
got to be able to work with your people.
All right.
If you don't do that, you can't. And Beth, I think she was just, and I think she knew she was done. I think that was a plea. That was like, please give me one chance.
Right.
I know I'm not doing a good job. I know I, probably don't deserve to be, but I really want to be here.
Beth Taylor, 43, Independence, Louisiana, and she just wanted to go home to see her mama.
Her mom.
And, okay.
Yeah.
Beth. And
wants to cry to her mama, is what she said.
And Beth has a little parting gift. Remember what Melanie said?
Oh, yes.
She has a Hell's Kitchen tattoo on her left forearm.
That's right.
Branded a loser. That's 2 out of the past 3 weeks.
Two that had tattoos.
Yeah. So Michael Aresta had the HK12 on his back.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah. Have fun reading that the rest of your life.
Right.
Anyways, let's move on to predictions.
Let's do that.
And the thing about predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I love that you and I, Lem, have a point of view because we're Hell's Kitchen fans. But I thought, since we have the world's attention,
yes,
since this after show is there, and by the way, the iTunes downloads are incredible. Thank you so much. And by the way, Chasing Maria Menounos is on fire.
Blazing.
Kevin Undergaro and Maria Menounos have, the last episode was all about AfterBuzz TV, about what we do here and how grateful we are, and 60 after shows. Every single country, millions of downloads. Chasing Maria on Twitter. Check it out. It's Tuesdays, 10, 9 Central on Oxygen. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you for the downloads of iTunes.
Yeah, and the ratings. 5-star ratings. That's what we want.
One more time?
5-star ratings.
Please. We appreciate that. So, Lem and I are going to be talking about who we think is going to stay, who we think is going to go. But I thought, let's take it to the next level. I'm always thinking next level.
Always.
So let's go to season 11. Let's go to a top 5 finalist, Black Jacket.
Black Jacket.
She's a Southern California chef, AuthenticChef.com. She's on with us right now, the lovely Susan Heaton. Susan, are you there on the Hell's Kitchen after show?
I'm here, guys. How are you doing tonight?
We are doing fantastic. What's it like for you to watch Hell's Kitchen when you're not in the kitchen?
It's so much easier to watch and actually be there. But then you're like, did I look that stupid? I really hope not.
Well,
definitely a different perspective.
They seem to capture everything. Do you remember your stupid moment in season 11? Did you have one?
I had several. I think I had a running stupid moment. It was I had an aversion to cooking my lamb appropriately. So I think I'll forever be known as the person who couldn't cook the lamb.
But I'm sure you can now.
Absolutely, I can now. All the time.
Say hello to Lem Gonsalves. Can you, Lem?
Yes.
I said, Susan, say hi to Lem.
Oh, hi, Lem. I'm sorry, I didn't want to say hi to you.
No, it's all
Hello,
good.
How are you?
I'm good, Susan. How are you? And I just want to say that, and I'm not saying this because you're on the show, but you were one of my favorites in your season, and I really appreciate you being here with us, most definitely.
Oh, thank you. So
Yes.
I'm so glad to be, on the show, listening to you guys and being a part of the show and giving my take on, this whole crazy thing called Hell's Kitchen. So
Crazy.
Definitely have a different perspective than most people, having been through it myself. So I'd love to share with you guys.
Well, listen, you made it to the top 5 Black Jacket territory. So when we were at 15 chefs compete, that was tonight's episode, where were you at as far as strategy when you were at 15 chefs?
Oh, gosh. I mean, it's so touch and go. I think, when you're like kind of, in the very few small moments that I had of my time to myself, I was just thinking, I just want to make it to the next day. It's almost so hard to think about forever or, winning. I think for me, it helped to just kind of focus on the task at hand rather than the big picture, because you never know what's going to be thrown at you. But I was just trying to, assert myself the best way I could and be confident. And I think that, it somehow worked to my advantage, but some of the viewers may have seen that as cockiness. And unfortunately, people that don't understand the difference between the two, kind of gets too confused. But you gotta sometimes you just gotta push through and do your best to, what do they say, fake it till you make it.
Right. Well, and it worked for you because obviously you did get to black territory, which is very coveted in Hell's Kitchen.
Exactly.
For those of us that watch, we know only a few get to go to that. I just want to ask, and we ask a lot of the guests that we have on the show about kind of the inner workings of Hell's Kitchen, the things that go on, the stuff that we don't see on camera. I just want to know, do you miss the dorms at all and hanging out with those people that you were with, the red team?
Absolutely. It's funny. It's I think what I miss the most is just you're completely isolated from, reality.
Right.
Which is kind of funny because it's called a reality show. It's not really reality. I mean, you don't have to, attend to like your telephone or your bills or all these things that cause you stress in your everyday life. You have the opportunity to, if you can, wrap your head around focusing on what you're doing. So I really took that as like a break from the norm for me because I'm such an on-the-go person. So for me, it was nice to actually be away and to not have to worry about picking up dry cleaning and planning menus and ordering stuff. I was like, all I have to do is wake up, cook, go to sleep. Like that's it. And it's just simplify it. That was great, And obviously, being with so many characters, I feel like my season, not just because it was my season, but because I've watched many seasons and I've gotten to know a lot of the alumni from Hell's Kitchen and, even this season, we just had an awesome group of people, and especially the red team, the women were just so strong. We bonded so closely. We worked so well together. I mean, it's as if we had been working together for years when we were in the kitchen. When it finally got down to maybe 6 of us, 7 of us, we were really working like a well-oiled machine. We respected each other. None of us ever cut each other down. There was no cattiness. There was no fighting.
Right.
It was very real and genuine, and so I do miss that. You can't replace those types of relationships and friendships in a regular life.
Awesome.
Susan, what do you think about this crop of chefs in season 12?
I gotta say, and I've actually have talked to some of them since the show's aired, but everyone's, you have your real true who you are when you're not under Chef Ramsay's, screaming, yelling voice. And then you have Hell's Kitchen. And so I'm sure they're all great chefs, but what I've seen so far is really disappointing. I just feel like they could just scratch the season and start over. Like, I just don't really see it. I don't know. I'm waiting for someone to kind of step up and show themselves. But as it stands right now, I'm a little leery on, what the final 5 is going to look like. What is that black jacket going to look like?
Well, you know more than anybody. What is Gordon looking for? We know a leader, but you've been there. You know exactly to a laser focus of what Gordon wants. Oh,
for sure. And I think, it's so hard. Having been in their shoes, he says what he wants, but there's so much pressure, and he's saying 15 million different things. He almost wants you to read his mind. So even though he says something, he kind of does this it's like wordplay, or he wants you to read between the lines. So he won't tell you exactly what to do, but he wants you to figure it out, because that's how he's testing to see how intelligent you are. So he won't say what you can't do, or won't say what you can do, but say, here's a general thing. But, it's like you can figure it out. You can figure out a different way. He doesn't say you have to stick to this or do that or just all these different things. So he really wants someone that, will stand up, will rise. But he's also looking for someone who's moldable, who's palatable, someone who is willing to learn, So those people that are just extremely overconfident and think that they know it all, I mean, that's definitely not what he's looking for, because he really does want someone who can mentor. I mean, he is an amazing chef, amazing restaurateur.
Sure.
I mean, he doesn't want someone who thinks they know it all.
Right. And you were talking about your season being a great season, and I remember watching it because I've seen every single season. But correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't your season the one where I think you guys won 6 times in a row, your team, before the blue team even won the challenge?
Yes. So I believe we hold a record.
Yeah.
We won I think 10 out of 11 challenges.
Totally.
And we had a streak of 6 wins before the guys even won one.
Right.
Well, really quickly, because we got to get your predictions, we got to move on. What was the grossest moment in Hell's Kitchen, and what was the greatest part of the greatest reward moment? Grossest part, greatest reward.
Okay, grossest part by far was the very one and only challenge we lost, and our punishment was we had to eat balut eggs and
Yes.
century eggs, and it was disgusting.
I remember that.
It just, if you've ever seen one, smelt one, even if you know what they are, it's the most horrid thing you could think of to eat. But luckily for us, on the flip side, we had so many amazing rewards. And I have to say, you know, being a local, you know, Southern California girl growing up in this area, one of my absolute favorites was riding on a horse in the Pacific Palisades up to, you know, the mountaintop.
Sure.
And having the fresh air and just being free and, you know, enjoying a glass of champagne at the end. I mean, you know, it just doesn't really get much better than that.
Well, Susan Heaton, season 11, who's going to be having a glass of champagne at the end of season 12? Who do you think?
You know, I gotta go with, right now, the person I think is a front runner is obviously a woman, because the guys this season blow. I think Melanie. I think she's going to shine through. I think she's got what it takes.
Okay.
She was right next to us last week, and she's a very strong, young. Gordon likes to groom younger chefs, especially mid-20s.
Yeah,
so, okay, let's write this down. Susan Heaton says Melanie Finch for the win. Any runner-up possibility? Because there's two that, you know, two hands on the door. So tell me, who else?
Yeah. I got to say, my next is another local girl. Funny, you know, Melanie's from the, you know, Thousand Oaks, Woodland Hills area.
Right.
I'm going to go with Bev. I think she's a dark horse right now.
Damn it!
Really
she also sat next to Lem. I'm on the wrong side.
It's because they sat next to me. That's why. I know.
Well, we'll take that, Chef Bev and Chef Melanie. Hey, Susan, you got to come in studio and just your stewardship. You're an inspiration to these chefs. You got to come in and do the Hell's Kitchen after show, would you?
I would love to, anytime.
We appreciate your predictions. And how do we find you? AuthenticChef.com?
AuthenticChef.com. You can find me on, that's my website. You can find me on Twitter, SusanHK11 or Authentic_Chef. I'm also on Instagram at Authentic_Chef and on Facebook, Susan Heaton. So check me out. I'm local, so everyone that's in the LA, Orange County area, even San Diego, even Northern California, I travel. Love to cook for you guys. Love for you to taste my food.
Awesome.
That's the easiest way. AuthenticChef.com. And then all of the Twitter and everything is all in there, right?
It's all there.
All right, Susan, we'll see you again. Thanks for being on the Hell's Kitchen After Show.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
All right, good night, Susan. Thank you so much. Lem?
Yes.
You're a saint, the Poet Saint.
Yes.
How do I find you, brother?
Just like you said, I'm at the Poet Saint all day, every day. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. There it is.
You can find me on Twitter at Movie Interview. If you want to send me an email, a question about Hell's Kitchen, Leo at Movie Interview. Thank you so much, Lem Gonsalves.
Thank you so much, Leo Quinones.
Producer Steve.
Yes.
Thank you, Maria Menounos.
Yes.
Kevin Undergaro. C Chasing Maria. 10 o'clock, 9 Central on the Oxygen Network. And we'll see you next week. Hell's Kitchen Season 12 is heating up, and you're going to watch it with us. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Right here on bloody iTunes.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.